Welcome first-time listeners and returners to the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. What about fucking Colin? He was in the news for a quick minute with the Raiders, and no one's talking about that shit still. Why the fuck not? Why does he not have a fucking job? Because he's still being whiteballed. Why is Tom not speaking out about that? He should be his biggest fucking ally. And he hasn't said one fucking thing. A lot of people that have come on this show, I don't know why, they've gotten some good fucking jobs afterwards. Jim Rome in the jungle. It's right here in the Sports Deli, baby. We got some good ass karma right here. Let's fucking go.
I love it,
man.
I love it.
We hope you enjoy today's show, everyone. All right, let's rock and roll. As we continue to honor legends, badasses, queens, sheroes, pioneers, and trailblazers during our 50th anniversary of Title IX celebration series, we're so honored to welcome on the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the pride of Bayonne, New Jersey, Goody, aka Adrienne Goodson, our 32nd professional women's basketball player or coach. Damn, that gave me chills, and I've read that shit like 20 times already before I actually did this live. Man, I love it. The former national champion at Old Dominion University was born one day after Brittany Griner's birthday, some 24 years earlier. And if you invert 24, you get Brittany Griner's number 42. The former ABL and WNBA All-Star, played and captained Team USA in 1993, was born the same year as Halle Berry and Janet Jackson. She's always been about giving back, and in 2004 was honored with the WNBA's Community Assist Award. She's coached both boys and girls, as have I. She's mentored thousands, and she's a motivational speaker. She's in the Old Dominion Hall of Fame, of course. She's a contributing writer at Just Women's Sports. She's the author of the book, Elevate Your Game from Athlete to Corporate World, and she's the host of the podcast, A WNBA State of Mind. You can find her on Twitter, among other places, at Goody is with a Y at the end of it, number 15, Goody15 _ WNBA, and on Instagram at Goody15. Adrienne, I'm glad we worked it out. This is a really important series for me, truly honored and humbled. We could work this out in this collaborative effort between the Sports Deli and a WNBA State of Mind.
I'm super excited to be on your show. It's just fantastic. And like I said, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and sit and talk with you and chop it up, talk about basketball, talk about all things basketball, talk about the community and whatever else we decide we want to kick it.
Yeah, definitely. We talked a little bit a few minutes ago about a large brand like Nike. And I want to get to that later, but I like to go usually, unless you really are passionate and want to talk about that first, but I like to talk chronologically because I like to give people an idea about how strong Black women especially came to be, especially in our era, such amazing representations when it was hard to do that in society. So you grew up on the East Coast in the 60s and the 70s, right? And there was a lot of stuff happening. And so how aware were you of JFK, MLK, Malcolm X, the riots in New Jersey? And were you the same person back then? It just hadn't come out yet?
Let me tell you something. People don't understand. This is my mother and my father, man. Interracial marriage. My stepdad all the way. He's been in my life since I'm 5 years old, man.
Wow.
And I'm 55 now.
Well, but how did people handle that back then? Oh my God.
I didn't handle it very well because people were always staring and
Right. Wow.
You don't worry about anything that's happening on the outside of us.
Wow.
Because it don't matter as they walking down the block holding hands.
Wow.
Pissed off at my mother because he had handsome blue eyes.
Wow.
Woman, every white woman in Bayonne wanted him. They chose each other.
Man, that's incredible.
Fighting me for other reasons, like I can withstand. People don't even understand that I could withstand and I can endure a lot because I watched my mom. I watched my mom get jilted by my father. And I felt her pain before I even came out of the womb. And then I watched it.
Damn.
And watched a man come into her life and marry her and give her everything that she wanted from a black man and didn't get it. And then I watched her and how she dealt with the slander that came from marrying a white man in 1978.
Mm.
I got a lot of strength in me, man. Untold old strength that carries you new times.
Man, that was some powerful stuff right there.
Goody, your prejudice, man. If you don't get out of my face, I can say something about you. My dad is white. I know what's in you. I know how you act. I know what you do.
Right.
Stop.
Right.
I could come from an honest place when I speak of white males. I know how my dad operates. I know what he does. I know how he ticks. I know the things that we needed to discuss so that he could understand that maybe you shouldn't do that, or maybe you shouldn't say that. You understand? So it comes from a different place with me, you know? So all that racist stuff and this, that, and the third, don't even come at me with that, because I operate differently. You know, I have so many family members that have, you know, that my cousin who just passed, his 2 kids are interracial. I got 2 cousins 3, who married white women. 4, my uncle married. So like, I operate from a different place. I know how all different sides of the fences operate.
Right.
Appreciate being going overseas. Because do I get mad at Chinese people? No, I live with you. So I know why you do what you do. Do I get mad at Spanish people? No, because I live with you. I know what you do and why you do what you do. Do I get mad at Brazilians? No, I live with you. I know what you do and why you do it. And that's called diversity. But if you don't open up yourself, you don't open up your mind and actually walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, then you don't have an opinion about anything. And why are we judging anybody anyway? That's God's place. He created all of our minds. So we must be brilliant, right?
If that didn't move you, you probably need to keep stepping right now, because the rest of the show, it's not going to mean much to you. It's not going to resonate with you. But if that struck a chord with you right here, then we hope you continue to listen and enjoy the rest of today's podcast. Man, that was an incredible segment.
It was my grandmother's story that actually inspired me, who was born in 1928 in Culpeper, Virginia, in the foothills of West Virginia. And she fled that area when she was 14 years old and came up here to Bayonne. And that's where she created her family. And she went back and she got all 3 of her brothers and sisters and brought them up here. And I don't even have to go and all of those things. So, you know, the grind was happening before I was even thought about. Thought my family was a part of the struggle, being from the South. And so, you know, my grandmother ran away from the South and you know, and always made us go back every single year. And then I ended up going to Old Dominion University, because what she hated about Virginia, I in turn ended up loving, you know, about Virginia. You know, but I went down there during a time where things were totally different. And I'm not saying that we've completely overcome, but it definitely wasn't 1928. And so, you know, just being from this area, you know, so diversified, and I got the opportunity at a young age to be able to mingle with all different types of people. Bayonne is a melting pot. You have Black, you have white, you have Italian, you got Polish, you got Russian, you got Puerto Rican, you got Dominican, you got Cuban, you have Egyptians, you have, you know, so it's just basically, you know, starting to, you know, to migrate to this area as well. And so before all of that happened, I mean, when I would go and over to my friend's house, most of their families were not speaking English in the home.
Wow. First generation. Yeah.
To my Puerto Rican friend's house, they weren't, their parents and their grandparents were speaking Spanish. You know, when I went over to my Italian friend's house, their parents and their grandparents were speaking Italian. Okay. And then, you know, I had a lot of Jewish friends, and then there was Hebrew, and then, you know, the Egyptian. So then there's all kinds of different languages. So I already knew how to mingle with other people, you know, before I even left Bayonne. So I love the fact that I was born in an area that, really promoted diversity, little China, little
Right.
Italy, going over and just, living across from Staten Island, I can actually walk on the Bayonne Bridge over to Staten Island and be in New York. So the only thing that separates us from being New York is the Bay.
Right. Man, that's amazing. Do you stay in touch with them, all of them? Well, the ones that are still, hopefully they're all around, you're real close friends growing up. Like, do you guys gather back together and talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially with Old Dominion University. I wouldn't say that in Bayonne, but
Right.
Old Dominion University, we unfortunately we lost Medina Dixon
Yep.
last year to pancreatic cancer. I was going to wear her shirt today, her sweatshirt today, but it was so hot. I just like I'm just going to throw it up like a gang sign.
Right.
But we that was tough for us, and we all got together and we zoomed for the last 2 years. I actually missed the girls. We zoomed for the last 2 years to be a part of her life and help her transition into the next journey, which is where all of us are going to eventually end up. And she was such a great leader on the basketball court, and the way she led us into heaven was even more incredible. Just fearless and just always smiling and constantly just keeping us up because she knew how tough it was on us.
Yeah. Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yes.
Oh man.
I got seriously that she's resting on earth as it is in heaven. So
Right.
she's not that type of person. Like a
Yeah.
lot of RIP or I don't believe in that R, boy. I promise you, because I don't think it's just that you just stop. We're energy, and we cannot be destroyed.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. So before you met her and all your teammates and your amazing coaches, like, did you play with boys? Like, how did you play all sports and then you just, fell in love with basketball? Like, I'm always curious about that part of it because we've had a lot of people come on the show that have had horrible high school experiences.
Yeah.
And look, let's be honest, in that time frame, as a Black woman, women in general, it wasn't encouraged to play sports. Title IX was sort of right around the corner, and it just started.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned that women weren't encouraged to play sports, because I used to get tormented on the block, from tomboy to Tommy to, you're not going to, there's nothing for you. I even had my principal at Robinson, Dr. Walter F. Robinson, number 31 up there on 31st Street, number 3, excuse me. He pulled my mother to the side and asked her why is she letting me play basketball, because there's not going to be anything for me. And the day that walking up the block when I was playing, when I was already grown and I'm playing overseas, and we're walking towards him, and he sang my praises, knowing what he had told my mother back then, and me and my mom walked away. We just looked at each other and started laughing. It was like, wow, eat your words. But I can promise you, I did not play with girls.
Right.
I was just too good, and I couldn't even in elementary school. They got mad at me. The coaches got mad at me because I wouldn't play on the elementary school because I was just so beyond that level. But my first love was swimming. I thought that
Wow.
sometimes I often think about what that would have looked like, because to this day I can chop it up in the water. But that was my first love. And of course we ran track, I played softball, but it was when I put the basketball in my hand that I knew that this was going to be something that was going to carry me. It was like as soon as I touched it, I felt it in my soul in a way that I never felt with any other sport. Even to making the Pop Warner football team, my mom forbid me. She was like, no. And I was like, Mom, she's like, you're getting ready to get your boobs. Are you? So, it was over for the whole football thing, because they had no equipment for women whatsoever. But I did make the pack, and that was it for me. But the basketball, I knew that when I touched it, it was a soul's mission, and it just took me everywhere. Wow. And no, I didn't play with the girls. If I had to play with the girls, then I probably wouldn't have been as good as I was.
Right.
And there's a famous writer God bless his soul, who wrote, his name's The Fa here in New Jersey, and he wrote for St. Anthony's. He's real big on the herd. And, you know, he put me on the all boys county team. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, all county boys team. You could look that up. And so, which was absolutely amazing to me. I never really talk about it a lot, but
Wow.
you know, my game was up. And Hudson County is a great area to come out during my time for basketball. You know, with us and St. Anthony's and you know all of the schools, the powerhouses, Holy Family from back in the day.
Right.
Catholic, those areas, you know, with Ann Donovan, she was before me, but you know, there's Carol Blazejowski, all these people, Sharon Ross, just that paved the way for
right. Yeah, that's incredible just to sort of hear, you know, your evolution and you know, you obviously were born with an inner resiliency because there's a lot of people that have a passion and it's either not encouraged or they're not strong enough to say, well, F the world, I'm going to play because I love it. And they go in a different direction and, you know, whatever, they have a regret later that they didn't follow through. But you certainly have both, not only a passion for something, but an inner resiliency that probably came from your grandmother and others. Right? Yeah.
God bless my Aunt Roz, lost her in a pandemic 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
Uncle Skip taught me how to play basketball, sitting around on the basketball court on 20th Street, watching Elaine Carroll play against the guys and tear them up. And so she was my motivation. Just the list goes on and on of people that I was inspired by. And it wasn't that I was envious. It was like, how can I take a piece of each person?
Right.
And there's a lot of female role models out there to watch.
Right.
Okay. I had to watch the guys, you know. I'm watching players like Dr. Dre because he was right in Philadelphia. He also played for the Nets. Then I was also watching Adrienne Dantley, who was a fantastic player. You know, of course, to Michael Jordan, to you know, and the list goes on and on. To Charles Barkley's, to my mentor Moses Malone. God bless his soul as well. We lost a lot of powerful people. That I watched play that were fantastic, you know, all going all the way back to St. John's and Chris Mullin busting it up over there at St. John's. So like we had a lot of Earl of Pearl, like just the area, the mecca of basketball is right here, you know, in the tri-state area, New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut, and that, you know, and in those areas you can find a lot of top schools.
Man, that's incredible. And who else was recruiting you besides ODU? Did you consider anyone else?
Who wasn't? Not even bragging, you know. You know, I'm humble like that, but like there was my mom showed me the box recently, and like just thousands upon thousands of schools, you know, all the way to like an Appalachian state, like just like from the top to bottom, you know. Schools that you know, you just typically think you would be interested in. I wasn't, you know, I knew I wasn't going to go to Tennessee. The day that my mom punished me when I was 12 years old, short story. I don't even remember what I was doing. Okay. She punishes me and I'm just like, Mom, you gotta let me outside. She's like, no, it's raining outside. As a matter of fact, go in there and watch the basketball game, women's basketball game. I was like, what? I'm 12 years old. I'm like, Mom, there's no women's basketball. Yes, there is. Go in there and look on TV. Thank God she punished me. Because I go in there and I'm watching Old Dominion University against Tennessee. And it's Donovan, Inglis, and Nancy Lieberman, okay, Angela Cotman, and that whole crew against the only person I remember from Tennessee was Big O. Okay, and she was the big name, big household name back then. Old Dominion wins. I come in the kitchen. I sit down at the table. I said, Mom, I'm going to Old Dominion University. She looked at me and, Adrienne, get out. 7 years later, I'm signing, not even that. I was 16, 4 years later, I'm signing the letter of intent to go to Old Dominion University. I like Old Dominion, I liked USC. Notre Dame, believe it or not, was high on my list of priorities, but I didn't go there because I felt like they were telling me what classes I needed to take and what direction I was supposed to go in. And so that was a wrap. Iowa, okay. And that's when Vivian Stringer just went out there. She had left Cheney State and went out there to Iowa. I said USC. South Carolina was big on me. Georgia was big on me. I pissed off Teresa Brant. I didn't go to Rutgers. I pissed off.
Well,
I pissed off.
understandable.
I didn't even give her an interview.
Who was that?
Pat Head. I didn't even get. So it was, I just had my choice of the school that I wanted to go to. There was a lot of them. My mom made me break it down. She said, listen, all of these schools, you're going to go from 100 to 50 to 25 to 10 to 5 to your top 4, and then we go. So I had to do that. So that made it an easy process of elimination, because a lot of stuff went to the wayside. I thought I was throwing it in the garbage. My mom was collecting it so that I can now appreciate it at this day and age. All the schools that were actually there. And I'm going to sit down with that box and look at it and put, maybe even send a thank you note to all those schools for even recognizing me. But I promise you, it was a long journey, but my family was always there. My family was always there. It was the strongest portion of me, driving me, my driving force, and I was leading the way to go to college. And, my family is very small as far as the Goodsons were concerned, that were in Bayonne, but we're many in other places. And so, my nucleus was very tight, with my grandmother and my mom and then her kids. They kept tight and they protected me, and they protected my ideas and my dreams and my aspirations, and that's why I went far.
Oh man, I love stories like that. I mean, and you don't hear about that many. And we had Sylvia Crawley on, and she won a national championship, obviously, at North Carolina. So talk about, when you got on campus, did you have this goal, and get with your teammates, look, we're about to do this thing, or did it slowly develop and you're like, we actually may have some pieces to do this thing? What was that national championship run like? I can't, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was a crazy run. But first and foremost, it didn't start when I got on campus. Okay, Wendy Larry came to my house, Coach Stanley came to my house and told me that I was the missing link to a national championship. So that started the whole, how it was supposed to play out, because, your words define you. God said and God said and God said, and then there it was. So anything that you speak becomes you. That's why you have to be careful what you speak over your life. And so before I even got got on the plane to go to Norfolk, Virginia, the stage was. And so when I get there, I meet my teammates and we start practicing, and we were good. We were good. First of all, we had our leaders were Medina Dixon and Tracy Claxton. For anybody that's out there watching, you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind in collaboration with Sports Deli. Go do your homework on those two people. They were the top. Tracy Claxton had the rebounding record for a very, very long time in the NCAA. I don't know who broke it. It might have been Yolanda Griffith, and then after that, it went down. But she had 19 boards. And, so I had these great players, but it didn't start off like it was great. We were rocky. We had.
Right. That's why I asked. Yeah.
Personalities: New Jersey, Boston, New Haven, Chicago, DC. Okay. Clashing of the minds. You got the top hardest cities that I just named out. Okay. And those minds weren't meeting at first, to a point where Marianne Stanley was smart enough to go out and get a therapist named Lynn Siegel.
Wow.
From the Hope House Foundation in Norfolk. I give them a shout out. She came and she did ropes and initiative with us, all kinds of trust games with us.
Wow.
Personality games with us, so that we can learn each other's personality, just filling out the little circles. And then we all coming back and saying, okay, this is who I am. I'm an extrovert introvert, or I'm an introvert extrovert, or, I'm just a loner, period. I'm quiet. So don't misinterpret my quietness. Don't think that I'm because I'm quiet. That's my presentation. That's how I am. But if you don't do your homework and you don't get to the essence of that, our two captains were arguing. They hated each other. Once Lynn brought us together, we were great. We were so great that we won a national championship with 8 physical bodies. 8 physical bodies. Okay, one girl left, had to, Liz Conahan could not play because she was having kidney failure. She had to have a kidney removed. Okay, then we had 3 players leave that year. We were practicing with a guy named Frank from upstairs in sports information, coming down and practicing with us every day.
Unbelievable.
We had a couple of players that graduated already. Angela Cotton came back and would practice with us so we could have 10 physical bodies to practice. So we were getting it in. It was a rocky road in the beginning, but she had us, we bought so much into her philosophy that we couldn't fail. We played a defense called junk and won the national championship. And I didn't find out until later that it was a nappy triangle and two.
Right.
But we bought into it. We were scrappy. We were scrambling.
Right.
Female, a 6'3" female with a wingspan, which made her probably be about 6'8". Medina Dixon at the top of our 131. I'm in the back. I'm a freshman. I'm doing what I'm told.
Right.
You know, so we were a fantastic team. When I went into the school, I didn't start, but I say 3 games into the season, 4 games, I was starting as a freshman. So that speaks for itself.
Yes, it does. You mentioned Marianne Stanley. Until recently, she was, coaching in the WNBA. What was her impact? I mean, you just talked about, I find that amazing in the 80s that somebody was doing a personality test and bringing a therapist in. Because back then, even if you talk to people like Val Whiting, who I mentioned earlier, who went to Stanford, even Tara, a lot of these old school coaches, and I'm sure others, rest in peace, Pat Summitt, even Gino, I'm sure they did things in a way that was, shut up and dribble, just do as I say, get over it, move, no excuses. And she was a little bit more thoughtful in that way. And not only were you the missing piece to the puzzle, but she, sort of inserted a lot of missing pieces to the puzzle by getting people to turn what may be perceived as weaknesses into strengths. And I find that fascinating. And do you do that with your teams now? Like, do you incorporate, what may be perceived as, a weakness as, hey, you have more things in common than you think. Let's come together, and prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing is to get the kids to buy into your philosophy.
Amazing.
The second thing is, yes, you have to talk, you have to communicate, not just on the court, but off the court. The things that you do together. We go out, we have pizza, come over to the house, everybody sit and watch a movie, laugh and talk
Right.
about the deepest, darkest things, no holds barred. Let's talk about the pandemic and what happened. What happened to you? What happened to maybe some of your family members? What happened to some of your friends? With these kids out here nowadays, suicide is an option. It's a viable option. So I try to stay on top of the kids, and even to the men on the professional side, women on the professional side, giving me an opportunity every single year to do the top 100 camp for, with the MBPA and ushering these guys into the pros. And them seeing me fit to come in every single year and influence and mentor some of these kids and to get the opportunity to be around them. This year, they incorporated that type of program into the camp where we breakout sessions and allow the boys to just sit and we talked and we chopped it up and we talked about everything that happened the last 2 years. And after we did that, they started to understand a little, wow, man, I didn't know that happened to you.
Right.
This was going on. I didn't know you thought that way. I misinterpreted you the whole time. And then once you have those breakout sessions and you give people the opportunity to peel off some of the mess, peel off life, it just opens it up. And then you'll see how they will start to become better within themselves and also together. Now, all of a sudden, they're sharing the ball more because I care about you. There's a difference between a team that cares about each other and a team that's just over here trying to get personal accolades.
Oh man, if that last part didn't resonate with me more than anything that you've said so far, because I talk about that all the time when as a professional basketball skills trainer, I'm not just teaching counter moves, I'm teaching them how to look at somebody. And with your eyes, you better be looking at them and speaking to them as if you love them and care about them more than you love yourself, because otherwise they will feel it in the same way that they will know that you truly care about the greater good and you care about them. And so there's a lot of nuance that, maybe a lot of people that are first starting out or young coaches, they don't understand some of these nuances. And you have to teach these kids to care and love, yes, about themselves, but they got to care about their teammates, at least when they're out on the floor and the greater good. Otherwise, you will not, like you said, get the best versions of themselves. And then collectively, you will not get the best version of the team. There's just no way. I'm sorry. Chemistry matters. And that's how you get over the hump sometimes, like what happened to you at ODU. You weren't just the missing piece, but coach did several things that allowed the team to come together to, show that the sum of the parts are greater than the parts themselves. Man, that is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah. Marianne Stanley is a brilliant mind, very misinterpreted, but she's a brilliant mind, a masterful coach. But she's not coaches that you can put in a box. You gotta allow to pick her team. You gotta allow for her to use her tactics. Okay. I met my godmother the other day, Kathy Rush, and I said to her, listen, I never understood Coach Stanley's tactics until I watched the movie. Okay. I never understood the tactics. And then once I watched the movie that they made about Kathy Rush, about Immaculata, Teresa Grants, and all those other players, and the things that she did to make them mentally tough. And I understood more. And I think that was the first movie I actually cried.
Wow. That's interesting. Why? What part of it resonated with you? Just the sorority of sisters, the camaraderie? Like, what spoke to you? Like, did it remind you of your family? Like,
just all of the tactics that she used, it reminded me of Old Dominion. It was all of the tactics used.
Wow.
To get the best out of them, practicing without balls, doing defensive slides in a tunnel under the water, it's just weird. And I used to call my mom and be like, "Ma, she made us, we were practicing without basketballs. Like, I don't get this woman, So then my free throws were up because I'm sitting there and I'm practicing my whole ritual. Boom, put my head down, take my 3 dribbles, spin the ball, do whatever ritual it was I was doing, all the way up, boom. And I'm doing that 100 times without a basketball. Okay, I'm dribbling. We're doing basketball drills without the ball up and down the court.
Or not dribbling. No dribbling drills.
It was always about your imagination. Use your imagination. You have to see it.
Right.
And so when I watched, Kathy Rush doing the same thing with her, then I knew I was a part of a bigger plan than I could ever imagine.
So how did you leverage that? Obviously, phenomenal player, but did you bring people together once you got to the ABL and the WNBA and see your leadership style change from when you were a freshman at ODU to now playing professionally?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times, my play brought leadership. I didn't want people to come to me or be around me because of the skills that I had. I want them to be around me because I was a good person, because I showed them good things. I wasn't that type of teammate that it would sit well with me if my teammates were being mistreated, and I'm getting everything because I'm scoring 20 and then they're not getting anything. I was fighting for them too. So ABL, we didn't have a player committee, but in the WNBA, we did. And I ended up being on the player committee because one of my teammates got traded from Utah, and she was on the player committee, so they needed another person. So Pamela Wheeler was like, "Goody, you're always so active and stuff. This would be great for you." So that's what I did. Anytime things came from the league. I passed it out, sat down and talked with the girls. If something needed to be filled out, I collected it all, sent it back to the league, different things like that, to make sure that we were getting the things that we needed, on the Players Association side. And so then I got elected to be on the player committee, which is you get elected.
Right.
And so, the thing that I take pride in is when people elect you into positions. So you don't just get elected there because you're an idiot. You don't get elected because you're not a good person. Or you don't get elected there because you don't have wisdom or people don't trust you. So I wore that crown,
Mhm.
The 2002 collective bargaining agreement was established. Right. We fought for so many different things. We were only getting 50% of our money, maternity leave. Okay. Right. There's no, the pay for the veterans was minimal. We raised the bar for that, got it to 60K, and then you started to see vets disappear because teams chose the option of bringing in, younger players and, not taking up the salary cap. And so, it's kind of like a gift and a curse.
Right.
And, we fought for a lot of different things. That year, we almost had a lockdown because we couldn't sign off on, all of the things that, we wanted. We were fighting for every single thing that they still now. And, I really, really honestly and truly believe that the current players really have to start putting in the collective bargaining things for former players, because eventually you're going to be one. So right now you're wallowing around, you're making your money, but when it stops abruptly. And you're going to understand what I'm talking about when you become a former player. So I think that there's still a lot of things that need to change. I won the Community Assist Award 2 years in a row. And that was very important to me, outside of the All-Star, the All-Star and outside of the Player of the Weeks that I got, and outside of all the accolades that I got, being in that league, top 10 in scoring, my first 3 years in the league. It wasn't even an All-Star. It wasn't even an All-Star team then. So winning the Community Assist Award was so important because I love to get out there in the community and help.
Right.
How can I help somebody become a better person? How can I help them in their career? How can I help them get out of a situation that they may be in? Be a bridge to a gap. And so, when you win the Community Assist Award, and you went out and you did over 100 appearances. So in San Antonio, I did over 100 appearances. When I was in over 100 appearances. So the groundwork that I laid, for that league in Salt Lake City, in San Antonio was absolutely fantastic. And you want to see some of that come back.
So you didn't get paid for any of those appearances?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
You do an off-season contract with the team.
Okay, got you.
Once you do an off-season contract with the team, all right, then you go and you do these appearances.
Okay.
So that's what I did in Utah. That's what I did in San Antonio. The thing about Utah is I didn't stay in Utah. I came back to the East Coast. I went back to Virginia, and then I did all of my appearances from there. Not limited to flying up to Nova Scotia and doing stuff. I did so many different things. It's absolutely fantastic. I look at the book that I have of, they would send me, they would give me a sheet of paper with what I was going to be doing, the location, all of that, right?
Wow.
In the book. And so I had all the elementary schools that I went to, San Antonio. So there was a lot of reach back into the community, just helping these kids along, because a lot of these kids wouldn't see me or anybody else from the WNBA had it not been for those cities putting a team there.
Right. Yeah. And then, representation, there's a whole lot of layers to that. And, obviously your time in the W was groundbreaking and amazing. And I'm sure you keep in touch with a lot of, your sorority of sisters. But I'm curious about the collective bargaining, because there's been a lot of pushback, even though things are better. And you talked about maybe back ending some of these contracts, or, your retirement, making sure that you're taken care of, forever, just like the men are in the NBA. But what things in the next collective bargaining agreement, I think it's due in 27. Obviously, charter flights is one of the big ones that to me is literally absurd, especially when there's some owners that have said currently, even though it's not in the contract, they will pay and fit the bill for charter flights that, Kathy has said, the WNBA commissioner, that she will literally throw a team out of the league if they fund charter flights when they're not funded across the board, things like that. And, it's just ridiculous. But what other things besides charter flights do you think? Obviously, salary increases so people have more options to stay home, be with their families, and not have to go overseas. And then we'll sort of transition into what's been happening overseas with Brittany in particular. But what are your thoughts on what should be the top 3 bullet items, having knowledge specifically to this type of renegotiations in the next collective bargaining agreement?
Absolutely. I think that first and foremost, there needs to be transition programs. You see all of these different programs in the NBA. You got the rookie transition program, and then you got programs that help transition them out of being a professional and into a career. Okay, and there's a career possibly waiting for you in the WNBA, or there's a career waiting for you with a sponsor.
Interesting.
We used to do internships, and after Pamela Wheeler left, all of that stuff went to the wayside. A lot of things Pamela Wheeler had on the table went to the wayside because those players that were on the player committee weren't really affiliated or associated with her, and she needs to be somebody that is still in the forefront with helping the players and helping the player committee. It's just imperative because it's too much for a player to stop and your salary stops abruptly. You don't have a 401k. It's just hard to survive after that. So it's like you're when you're playing, you're a part of the Players Association, and then when you leave, you become a part of the Retired Players Association, and there's really not a whole lot of communication to bridge that gap. Something has got. Secondly, I honestly and truly believe that they're just you can't discuss salary increase without increasing the salary cap
and the rosters. Yeah,
you can't have that conversation without speaking directly to the salary cap. The salary cap is too low. $1 million and something change is not enough to pay 10, 12 players. It's just not. There should be a 15-man roster. That's the next.
Yep, great point.
And I think that the salary cap should be a whole lot higher. And if we had $76 million donated to the league through a group of investors, where is that money? What's it speaking to? Because I haven't seen it. As a former player, I haven't seen anything. As a current player, they haven't seen anything. But see, with these players nowadays, you give them something and they're hush hush. Oh, we'll give you this. We'll give you more of this. Oh, let's have a social media page that shows how you dress. You could become a potential model. You're coming in, and they're giving you a little extra attention, a little perk or whatever. At the end of the season, you get some beats, or in the middle of the season, you get an iPhone from Verizon, whatever the case may be. They perk them up. But it's certainly not enough. There needs to be more than just that. So it's a collective problem. Okay, we got the league over here, and then you got the group of players on the player committee that really don't seem to be fighting for a lot, the way that we did back in the day. And I can't sit and say, we're different than they are. No, it's the same thing. It's just a different time period because you're still experiencing the same thing. So how are we different? It's not even really that much better. And so
interesting.
And the ones who have voices are pushed to the wayside. So there you see me.
Well, I hope you talk to Sue and Diana, and there are strength in numbers. There's no way that you can tell me that if you don't, there's no way. Like getting Kelly out of Atlanta, changing the election in Georgia, there's no way if there's not more pushback that they're not going to make some of these changes and raise awareness in these areas that clearly need to be adjusted in the next collective bargaining agreement. So let me ask you a question. I had a conversation with Anisha Curry. This is, I don't know, a few months ago. And, you know, we got to talking when she was still at Maine. So she spent 25 minutes with me on this conversation back and forth on DM on Instagram. And at one point, because I'm not really about getting guests just for the sake of guests. It's about mobilizing, being an ally. I don't make any money on the show. I've said this a lot of times, maybe down the road I will, but I do it for the purpose of creating a safe space for people to be educated and, you know, maybe see things differently from a white perspective and from a female, you know, perspective, a Black perspective and a brown perspective. And so at one point she said, "I'm tired." And I literally like started crying. This is through a DM, because my experiences brought me to a point where I understood exactly what she was talking about. And she basically was just, and she's obviously in a great place now with the Portland Trailblazers, but she was basically saying, as a Black woman, she said, you know, she was exhausted, you know, not because life wasn't good but it's just, it's tiring. Like what Black and brown people have to deal with, and white people still do not understand, even though life is better. It's been exhausting. It's currently exhausting, and it's going to continue to be exhausting because there's different narratives, different laws, and the spaces are different for people of color. And so I just told her, and she had 100 messages she hadn't responded to, and she was talking to me for 25 minutes. She doesn't even know me. And so there was just maybe something about the way that I came across. I don't know what it was, but she was spending time with me when she had way more important things to be doing. And so it just taught me a lesson, and I stopped in my tracks when she shared that with me. So from that perspective, obviously, you know, you're a pioneer, you're a trailblazer, you know, you have that inner resiliency we talked about earlier. You literally are a badass, and you don't give a single fuck about anything except being on the right side of history and being a voice. Share with everyone who may not understand what it's like now, being a Black woman in America, and what things you are still concerned about and where you'd like to see improve, you know, for America and especially people of color.
Ooh, wow. I'll tell you what, I don't know if I'll be able to get through saying that whole thing without shedding tears. I promise you. Tired is an understatement. And I just had this conversation with one of my mentors. Tired, man. Tired. The glass ceiling is real. All right. The glass ceiling in the WNBA, the glass ceiling in the NBA, the glass ceiling in the G League. And I'm not just talking about the men. I'm talking about women. There's wickedness in high places, and people will hold you back over stuff from the past. People will hold you back because you gave them 20 and 12. People will hold you back because your spirit aggravates their demons. People will hold you back because they can see your blessings before you can. I was in so many programs I've gone through. And I'm so appreciative of the NBA because they embrace me more than the WNBA does, which is sad. The NBA assistant coaches program, it begot nothing. And you know why? Because it's disconnected. It's disconnected from the actual GM, the actual decision makers over there in the NBA. Are they really looking at us? For me to come through that program and only one person get a job, and Derek Anderson just got a position with the NBPA because he's absolutely fantastic and he needs to be coaches, period.
Great player, yeah.
Follow his lead. I can't tell you countless times we coached together and we just tear people up. Tear people up, literally, okay? Top 100 camp for boys. Came through that program, love Purvis Short, always giving me the opportunity to be seen, always giving me the opportunity to be with those boys for a whole entire week so people can see what my skills are, what my skill set is, get to see my personality. All right. You got nothing. Okay. ESPN TV program. You got nothing. Okay. There's something that's out there that's being said, that's being done to keep me where I'm at. I'm a praying woman. So I know that I would not be walking through these doors if God wasn't guiding me. But what happens in between there is beyond me, because I know what my skill set is. I'll take the team and win a championship on every level, because I know how I get people to respond to me as a coach. I've been around the best. I've come from the best. Marianne Stanley taught me well. I'm nothing but a champion. I won a championship at Old Dominion University, won 5 national championships in Brazil, 3-time All-Star. A lot of stuff to go on and on. Very, very humble. You know, my mom taught me well. And so I don't understand. And it's tiresome to go through program after program after program. I could go into a room full of NBA players, and I promise you, half of them will come up to me. Goody, what's up? Goody, how you doing? Reputation precedes me. But what is it? Is it the blackness? I agree with that. Is it the fact that when I walk in the room, I command a lot of attention? I believe so. Do they want people who are not opinionated? I believe so. But you can't tell me out of all of those teams on the NBA and all of the teams in the WNBA, there's not a spot for me. You can't tell me that. I'm a non-believer. And I'm going to keep plugging, because there's going to be somebody that's going to let me in. And I promise you, when I do, I am not going to let nobody down, because it's in me.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about that. And, you know, I guess I'm sorry on the one hand, but I'm also of the belief that, you know, as doors close, others open, even if it takes a little bit longer, unfortunately, because it shouldn't have taken this long. And I remember talking to Crystal Robinson, who I know you know well. And when, you know, Vicky got that job and she was just let go, which surprised me. I don't understand that move at all. But when Vicky got that right, if people that are just listening, Goody just took her glasses off. So Vicky Johnson just got let go in Dallas. No, I don't understand that one. No one's talking about it really. But the point was that Crystal was like, I love Vicky, but I'm not being her subordinate right now, because I feel like I should be the person in that position. And so you have to stick to your guns, right? And not compromise at this day and age, and settle. And, you know, hopefully, so your goal, your hope is to be on a WNBA or NBA roster as an assistant or head coach. That's where you want to be.
Video coordinator, working out the team. Okay, I work out a team. It's a problem. We're winning, period. I believe in staying in shape. I believe in staying 3 and 4 steps ahead of the competition. I know how to do that. I know how to bring people together. So to me, it's not about the position.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of head coaches in there. There's plenty of assistant coaches in there, but there's also other positions. Team management. I did team management with the Players Association for the top 100 camp. Normally I coach. This year, they gave me the opportunity to be a team manager, to manage the whole team, to manage all of the kids. Make sure they where they're supposed to be. Make sure they have the breakout sessions. Make sure that they're mentally prepared. Make sure that everything is good. Director of basketball operations. That was the last program I was supposed to go into. I was one step away from meeting with Kiki Vanderwell. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. I got a phone call for someone who just got hired in a really high position. And it was like just sending me in all different other directions. So, like I said, there's wickedness in high places. And sometimes you could be talking to somebody and telling them your greatest dreams and aspirations, right? And they're over there poking small holes in the book. I've gone through that. And that's why I say I'm tired, you know, because we can't preach sisterhood and then do that to each other. We can't preach brotherhood and do that to each other. It's maddening. It's maddening, and it's gotta stop. Because when you throw dirt on my name, you throw dirt on my mother, and you throw dirt on my grandmother, and you don't throw dirt on my ancestor. When you lie and when you say things that are untrue to keep me back. But it's not the person that's saying those things. It's the ones that are believing it that concern.
Right. Well, part of it, like I said earlier, the purpose of this show that we're collabing on today in particular is to be an ally.
Yeah.
And so when things are misunderstood, people should really get to know the person for who they actually are. Like you said, instead of taking someone else's word for it, especially someone like you with legendary status like this. So I'm sorry that it's taken this long, but I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to happen. You keep plugging and keep building allies, and you know, I don't know who's calling on your behalf, but that obviously matters. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but it keep being yourself, your authentic self, and I think it's definitely going to happen.
You can't put your finger on it, and I'm not even out here trying to chase it anymore. I'm too old to be out here finding out who's saying this and who's saying that and why. Different things like that. God will sort that out. I actually am getting the opportunity to see a lot of those things, a lot of those people. Even my show with WNBA State of Mind came under attack. And so, eventually that will come out in the wash, and I don't have to say nothing. So, people trip over themselves all of the time. So, getting onto a positive, you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind in collaboration with my guy over here, Sports Deli. And I appreciate you having me on. It's not just me that's in the struggle. There's a lot of other players, and I'm those people. I give people come on my show to be a voice, to talk about it. And our generation has been trained to just shut up and play. Okay, LeBron said, no, I'm not going to shut up and play.
Right.
Reality is still in the WNBA. Shut up and play. Be treated however we treat you and play, because we'll replace you. And that is slave trade.
Absolutely. Well, and it's because of people like you, your mom, your grandmother, and pioneers and sheroes and trailblazers, like Sue Gunner. I mean, there's a lot of amazing women in college basketball, from the Pat Summits to Vivian Stringer, to there's just so many. We can't name them all, but I think we are going in the right direction. We just need to, not get complacent. But let me ask you a few rapid fire questions, because this is the fun part after talking about so many.
We all win, baby.
That's right. Right. Yeah. Nike, you need to do better, man. I know you're doing some things for women right now, but man, you're not what you did to one player that I mentioned earlier and to Goody. It's just not right, man. So go, you want to say something about that?
No, I'm just saying until we all win, like that's what I came in on.
Right.
And, it was so not that. It's so not that. And I'm happy for my teammates and some people that,
of course,
opportunity. However, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there. I'll let God take care of that.
Which airport do you prefer, Newark or JFK? Neither.
Come on, I don't like going through either one of them.
That took me a minute.
Oh my God. Stop it, please.
Oh, Lord have mercy. That was hilarious.
Crazy. They just really straight need to, and then you can't go to Philadelphia either. I mean, come on.
God. Damn, we could have done a whole show on airports. That was hilarious. Favorite country you played in, Brazil, Spain, or China?
Brazil.
Yeah. Favorite food at a family reunion?
Oh man, see, you play too much, because I can't. My mom's macaroni and cheese. My aunt's fried fish.
Oh, ooh.
Collard greens. Cornbread.
Oh shit.
I don't eat ham anymore.
Oh, interesting.
I eat ham. All of it, all the above. I come from a cooking family.
You like seafood?
I love it, but I ate myself into an allergy thanks to Megan Rooney at Old Dominion, who was down to Waterside, and we sitting down there eating steamed shrimp every single day of our lives. Thank God we're not flamingos and turn pink.
Waffles, French toast, or pancakes?
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Never French toast.
Ooh, damn.
All pancakes, but waffles will trump them any day.
Ooh, okay. Waffle House?
It's that multi waffle, you know. You go to the hotel and you can make your own waffle. Oh my gosh.
So if you could name any WNBA arena, anything you'd like, what would the name of the arena be?
House of Goody.
That's what I'm talking about. If you were singing in your car right now, what would you be singing?
Anita Baker, probably.
Wow. Man, love Anita. You bring me joy. Man, I better not even try. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let me edit that out or not.
That's okay. You sing that thing. Sing it.
So
Anita
wait,
Baker thinking you can sing.
I can sing a little James Taylor. But
Okay.
I don't think anybody can sing Anita like Anita. Maybe Whitney. Rest in peace. But yeah.
Maybe.
Whenever I see your smiling face, I have to smile myself, 'cause I love you. Yes, I do. When you give me that pretty little pout, it turns me inside out. Something about you, baby, I don't know. Isn't it amazing a man like me can feel this way? Tell me how much longer it'll grow stronger every day. Yeah, yeah. I guess better James Taylor than Anita, right? All right, moving on. Next question. Okay, so toughest player you ever played against?
Teresa Edwards.
Wow, man, I've been trying to get her on the show for a year. Favorite player to watch right now?
I like Kelsey Plum.
Man, has she evolved? She's tough as nails too, man. I love that part.
He reminds me a lot of Jennifer Anisha.
Yes, man, I'd love to have her on the show too. She was one of the first women that I ever remember watching, just the way that she commanded, the team, the way that she ran the ship. Man, I loved watching her. Drop step or up and wait, go ahead.
I like how she's developed. I like her development.
Right.
When she was in San Antonio, she didn't have that killer. She didn't have that
No.
killer. You know what I mean? She really didn't, and now she has it. And I think that's what's really brought her out, is that she's playing with no fear and she has confidence that no other coach probably gave her.
Yeah, and Dan Hughes talked about that when he came on the show. But do you think someone got a hold of her and said, "Do you realize that you could be one of the top players that's ever played in this league? Like, why are you holding back?" Or do you think she just saw her game develop and then she just realized she was?
You go into practice and you got your coach is Becky Hammond, Natalie Williams is your GM, and
Right.
Jennifer. You know who?
I guess, yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Like those are the top. Like if I have to put out top player, a list of top 25, all three of them are on my list.
Yeah, but Mark Jackson coached the Warriors, and then Steve Kerr goes in there, and then he takes it to another level. So he obviously did some things differently to tweak things, like you talked about with your coach. But that's what I'm saying. Like, somebody you think privately just said, "Come on, man! Like, you're so much better than this," or was it just being around greatness?
Be different.
Yeah.
I think the situation is different, and I know that when we went in there and they brought us all the alumni in there, and just giving them the energy, man. And it's
Yeah.
all energy. And when you're around people that really want you to succeed, and you're around people that really show you that they care about you, not just about what you do on the court, but you sat
Right.
down and had a viable conversation about your dog being sick
Right.
or how your mom doing, people will go through the wall for you when they know that you love and care about them. And that's the difference between, one organization to the next.
The New York Football Giants or the Jets, Jets. Wait, are you a Cowboys fan? Who's your team?
I grew up in this area and I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I'm really a football girl in my older age, but I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs because my cousin Daniel Hughes, number 83, he played with Andre Rising. So I've been a Kansas City Chief fan for probably the last 20 years.
That's amazing. Andre was on our show also, by the way. Yeah, he had some very choice words for certain people, but we edited it out because of him trying to get into the hall, and we may release that later. But he said some very interesting things. Go Sparty. Wait, Yankee. Go ahead.
You say stuff, and then people, hold it against you. Like one day I'm going in the Hall of Fame, whether nobody says it or not.
Hey, he asked me, so I just respected his wishes. Do you have any tattoos?
Yeah, I do. I have a cat. I have a tiger going down my calf.
Wow, interesting. Hey,
Bring it.
Let's go. Wait, favorite mama joke.
My favorite mama joke.
No, I got two for you here. Wait, hold on a second. You can tell me yours. Your mama's so dumb she went to the dentist to get a Bluetooth. Or your mama's so dumb she put airbags around her computer in case it crashed.
Your mom's mouth is on the back of her neck and she talks like this.
Oh, I got a bunch of them. Let's not go there. So if you could have anyone play you in a real life movie, what person would you want to play you in the movie, and what would be the name of the movie?
Oh my gosh. You might have had to send this question.
I know, I should have sent it earlier.
I guess if there's a movie and I want somebody to play me, you might have to trim her up a little bit, maybe put high heels on her, but I say Queen Latifah,
Ooh,
straight
let's go.
You're going to have to act because it's already in her.
Right. Love Queen Latifah. What scares you the most?
I don't know, not having my mom.
Wow, great answer. Would you rather snuggle with a polar bear or a penguin?
Polar bear. It's gonna smell like fish.
All right, last question. If you could have any 5 people at your dinner table, past or present, dead or alive, but you've never met them before.
The first one, I get, and it might sound weird, but Ben Franklin.
Wow. Really?
Ben Franklin.
Man, I haven't had that answer before.
George Washington Carver.
Oh, wow.
Madam C. Walker.
Not Jesus?
I'll see him later.
Okay, not at dinner.
Not at dinner.
2 more.
I'll say Maya Angelou.
Another popular answer. Yep, amazing.
And Wilma Rudolph.
Wow. Those are probably 5 of the greatest answers we've had, because we get the usuals, the Obamas and, okay, well, anything else before, this collaborative effort ends today? Amazing conversation. One thing that I usually talk about on here that I want to ask your opinion of before we go, if you have a second, is, and if you have anything in the background, you want to tell everybody what's in your background for people that are just listening and not actually watching on YouTube. I'm very critical of white professional athletes that do not use their platform to be allies. Andre Rison, who you mentioned earlier, said Tom Brady has made a lot of Black people rich. He's handed it off to a lot of Black people. He's thrown to a lot of Black people and had a lot of Black people block for him. And he's won a lot of rings, which helps a lot of Black people. And I include not just Tom Brady, but Aaron Rodgers and Tony Romo and Eli Manning and Peyton Manning and all of these white quarterbacks who can leverage their platform to be better allies. And some people don't care in the Black and brown community, and others are just as irritated as I am. And I had Drew Henson on the show, who played with Tom Brady at Michigan. And he's like, you know what? You're the only person that's ever asked me that question except my wife. Why Tom doesn't do more in the space of Black Lives Matter, not the actual organization necessarily, but being an ally. After Colin Kaepernick, after George Floyd, and after the countless Black men, mostly, Breonna Taylor, there's women as well, who have been profiled, murdered, illegally searched, etc. And is this something you care about, or am I way off base when I talk about this and go off? I had Ryan Howard, Jock Jones on, Bob Nightingale on recently, and lost my goddamn mind about this shit again, because I can't for the life of me understand how it's just business as usual still in 2022.
I have to agree with you. You know, there's a lot of, as a matter of fact, you introduced me as a contributing writer for Just Women's Sports, who I think they do more. They've had plenty of opportunity to do more for me. I actually shed a lot of light on their platform. Had a lot of people going to their platform from all of my different social media networks. And I was put on the shelf, okay? Some of the things that I wrote, taking a long time to come out. I would see it in other people's stories. My podcast, it was pitched to them to pick my podcast up, to just put it out there, you know, show some of my content. Every single thing was shelved. So you haven't seen anything from me being written. I took all of my stuff down that said that I was writing for them, except for in a couple of different places, because I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's cool that, you know, you tell the world that I'm a contributing writer, but you don't do anything to try to help me become better, to try to put it out there or give me more, okay? Pay me the bare minimum. When I see the other WNBA players that you're affiliated with, that you probably pay $1,000. So for me, it's about disassociating myself with those people who want to ride, but they don't want to die.
Right.
Okay, ride or die. You know, those are the type of people that I want around me. So I had a lot of people that just ride and ride and ride and ride and ride. And so now WNBA state of mind is so low. So, you know, I don't appreciate it. And I see it all of the time. And I'm a victim of it a lot. You know, so I concur. I agree with you 100% that it needs to stop. It bothered me dearly to see Eli and Peyton Manning bashing an African-American quarterback. Eli, you got a lot to say because you're pissed that Denver didn't bring you there. So you want to smoke him? How much did we put up with your madness here with your whine and crybaby behind? That's all we saw in New York from you. You won one championship. You think you get the opportunity to run your mouth?
Yeah, it was 2, but yeah, go ahead.
About an African-American quarterback? Why are you so jealous? You know, and even to podcasts and people that I've tried to collaborate with that won't answer back, JJ Redick, you understand? So it's like, those people are out there. They got a lot of followers, so they get away with a whole bunch of mess. But you know what? Telling people about themselves, okay, is trending. It's trending.
Yeah, I appreciate your sentiments. JJ Redick that one's confusing because he seems to be an ally. What was the deal?
Maybe, excuse me, maybe it's for guys. Maybe it's for guys. You know, maybe, you know, and I think that because I'm so educated in basketball, I could sit in a room full of men and tell them everything that they think they know about basketball, because you really don't know, because women play under the rim. We don't play above the rim. So we're more conscious and aware of what's going on down below, okay? And there's been countless people, and I'm not going to just be throwing names out there, that I've reached out to say, hey, listen, let me come on your show. Let's chop it up and go back and forth. I'd love to be on Stephen A's show. Love to go back and forth with him. Man, the world is crazy. People get to a high place. You got everything, and you still jealous of the ones that are down here, the ones that are trying, you know? But we can go on and on. We can go on and on.
Colette Smith's a good friend, and she talked about that also, you know. And you know, there are others, you know, look what happened to Jamel Hill. And she took things, you know, to her own platform, same sort of what you're doing, but she had ESPN, but you guys are almost identical in that way. I see you guys very similar, except, you know, you have even more leverage, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm glad you can see that leverage, but I need everybody else to.
Right. Well, and that's why I always bring it up, because it's frustrating to me that I don't understand why even 1/10 of what I do, these guys aren't doing. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, it's not even hard to speak out now. Like, it's literally not. You don't have as, I mean, look what happened to, I mean, we could go on and on, right? But like you said, but Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, who we're trying to get on the show, but we have to wait until Stan comes out in 2023, his story about being whiteballed by the NBA, Craig Hodges. I mean, how, there's so many people that have been whiteballed and blackballed, and it's not even hard to speak out now. It's encouraged, with the NCAA tournament a couple of years ago, the weight room situation, in one day it's fixed. Like, this just wouldn't have happened before.
Yeah.
So what is the hesitation or reservation now? I don't understand it. Like, it's just, so I would just encourage you to keep going down whatever path that you're going down, and keep speaking about it, in a direct but thoughtful way that educates people, because, nobody likes to have things rammed down their throat, because then it's like, it's a turnoff, right? So you got to find that sort of balance, but people that are on the extreme aren't going to listen anyway. We're trying to reach the people that are here in the middle, that are not apathetic, that understand that white privilege might exist, and to try and leverage their platforms to be a voice for those that are marginalized.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere, man. It's everywhere, and that's why I love being around kids, because they're at that age where their mind is open to anything. And these new kids, this new generation, they're gonna just beat up everything that we did. They really are. They're gonna put to bed a lot of the stuff that we continue to carry from generation to generation to generation, all these generational curses and these ways of thinking, traditional curses that are in your family, that are in your friends' families, and in our minds and in our hearts. And until we, it's one thing to take a shower every day. We can't come up, it's not so much the outside of your body, it's your inner side, it's your inside, your spirit, your soul that needs to be cleansed.
Oh, amazing stuff. Anything else that you want to share with the world, for both of our worlds? A WNBA state of mind and the Sports Deli.
We out.
Much love. Talk soon.
Boy, I'll talk to you soon.
You got it, man. That was some powerful shit right there, y'all. Well, we hope you enjoyed it. And if you're looking for some more content, you got your wish. Here are today's outtakes. What's up, Coach? For the 7,345th time, ladies and gentlemen, we're having technical difficulties here in the Sports Deli. Take two, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Coach?
What's your baby boy? Hang on. I just took my bandana off and my hair look crazy.
Hey, we love it. It's all good.
All right.
For those of you that were watching the Michigan-Iowa game and now joining us here in the Sports Deli. Bum, 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 bum. Hail, hail.
It's hot. There's too many things.
Coach,
video.
You've done this rodeo before. You know how this works. There it is. Look at that. I love it.
I took a hot shower. You know how you take the shower so hot that you just can't stop?
Yeah, it feels good.
Sweating like a sieve.
I love it.
So how's everything going? We finally.
Man. Yeah, my sincerest apologies. It's and I invited Val Whiting to come on today, but she's busy.
Oh, Val. Val to her little self, yo.
Yeah, Val and I have become good friends.
So I'm gonna put this up because they're full of shit. It's not until we all win. It's not. It's until you guys win. And that's the sad part. I'm gonna put this right up here.
Facts.
Did you see that?
Yep. Well, I got another story. So I'm trying to get Kim on the show also. KYM Kim. So she agreed, former WNBA player, right? And so I get an email from someone from Nike that says her schedule precludes her from coming on the podcast. Excuse me? What do you mean her schedule precludes a former WNBA player, a Black woman, on her own time from coming on the podcast? What do you mean her schedule precludes her? Why can't she come on the podcast on her own time? So I asked some other friends of mine at Nike, whose name remain nameless at this point in time, and some other people at Nike who I won't say who they are. And I asked them about it. And they said, well, I asked the VP, and they said, well, right now, certain people, I'm like, how are you able to go on all these other podcasts, but some people at Nike can't go on other podcasts? Like, I don't understand why, because I'm not ESPN. Because why? How are you going to tell a Black woman, a former WNBA player, that she can't come on a podcast because she works at Nike? I lost my mind on one of my posts on social media. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, what? What do you mean her schedule precludes her? What does that mean?
Till we all win, baby.
Till we all win is right. Like, literally ridiculous. Like, Kim Hampton can't come on my podcast because she works at Nike. Are you freaking serious? Well, that's a interesting way to start the show today, Coach. So I have a formal intro, and then if that's okay with you, because I always like to show love in the beginning, and then we'll chop it up. Is that cool?
Let's do it, baby.
Let's do it.
With players, doing that with my players. Like, you have to see yourself. If you don't see yourself, there's no way you can.
Right. Yeah, you got to watch film, man. I tell the kids, and these parents complain, not like in a terrible way, but I'm like, if you don't film the games, I can't watch it with you. You can't learn about how to be a better version of yourself. Like, you're crying over the wrong things because you missed a couple threes. Like, what? Absolutely. That's not what I'm upset about. I'm upset about the fact that you weren't speaking. You weren't trying to be a better leader. You didn't counter properly. You crossed over in front of another player who was a foot away from you instead of going behind your back, right? You didn't look opposite. Like, what? You're not focusing on the right things.
No, you beat the player and then you drag it back.
Right, for no reason.
Beat the player and then you dragged it back to where he was.
Right. What are you doing? Because it looks good.
Because you're doing all of this prolific stuff and you don't know why. You're using a whole lot of counters. Why? Kyrie, like, stop. You dribble too much.
Right.
You dribble too much. Basketball wasn't meant for people to be dribbling it around. The object of the game is to get it in the basket.
Absolutely.
Come sit next to Auntie. Just sit
right.
I can't. I'm not watching that, man. I'm not watching that. The team, we got 24 seconds, and you dribbled 15 seconds of the air.
Right.
And then when you don't have an option, you give it to somebody who, when they only got 5 seconds to make something happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that James Harden stuff, I can't stand it.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. And these people are legendary.
Great. He's a great scorer. Meanwhile, he can't hit a three when it's clutch time, and he can't lead his team out of a paper bag.
Yeah, these players are different, man. They're giving people GOAT status. Like, oh, he the GOAT. What? He's 10. He the GOAT, huh? Goat cheese. You better get out of here. Yeah, goat cheese. Get out of my face, man.
What you got up for the rest of the weekend?
Actually, I got another show coming up.
Oh, shit.
Chop it up with my dude, Tippy OG. And we're gonna get at it. We're gonna get after it, the Knicks and the Nets.
Oh, damn. We're
gonna argue.
Well, you could. Yeah, I put a video up about Stephen A's reaction about the Knicks. Man, that's phenomenal. He's a trip.
Kyrie probably won't talk no more after.
That's all right. Stephen A's got some interesting takes, that's for sure.
I can't say I don't really agree with Stephen A a lot of times because he just yells and acts stupid so much.
Yeah, just waiting for it. Yeah.
Wait for it.
Yeah. So
it is what it is. Like I said, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got he's gonna be sending me a link in a minute.
Go ahead. See, there you go. We get into the popcorn part of the show, and that's when I find out that your dad was white. Holy shit.
I can't wait to see the show.
For sure. Talk soon. All right. Have a great weekend. Much love. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. Boy, that was phenomenal. Great job, and much love to everyone. Remember, Black Lives Matter. Stop the bullying. Stop the Asian hate. Contact your local and state politicians for any inequalities, for any individual or any group that's being marginalized. Also, everyone, we want to raise awareness for those individuals that are currently imprisoned for non-violent offenses, in particular those with long-term sentences that are disproportionate, in particular to those people in the Black and brown community. And I want to send a shout out to 40tons.co. 40 Tons is a socially conscious cannabis brand, and they're a social enterprise using the regulated cannabis industry to fight injustice, in particular for cannabis prisoners. So check them out again at 40, the number 4, the number 0, tons, plural, 40tons.co, because what they're doing in the cannabis space and being a socially conscious company is truly incredible, and they have my full support. And also wanted to remind all of you, if you're having a tough time, you can always call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that number is 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. And now you can call 988. That's it. All you got to do is dial 988 from any phone. And they are available 24/7, 365 days a year. You can also always check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at Mike Hootner. Thanks again to our amazing sponsors, Breaking Tea, Sport RX, PSK Collective, City Lokes, and Moolah Kicks, which you can see right here up on the screen. You can search them online at breakingtea.com, sportrx.com, pskcollective.com, moolahkicks.com, and citylokes.com. And if you'd like to support us at the Sports Deli, we'd love to have you either make a one-time donation or feel free to make a donation monthly, either 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. If you have questions about that, send me an email again to thesportsdeli@gmail.com, and I will send you the link on how you can do that. You can also find it at the bottom of every podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Link at the bottom to support the show. Please check out our website at thesportsdelipodcast.com. Make sure that we continue the conversations with regards to 3 strikes and you're out and mandatory minimums, especially people that are in jail for non-violent offenses. So those things need to change. And remember, gents and ladies, please remember to do your monthly self-breast examinations. And remember, guys, this afflicts about 1,500 men annually, with about a third of those resulting in death. So we want to make sure that we do our monthly self-breast examinations, both men and women. And guys, remember to do your self-testicular examinations every month as well. Until next time, remember, it takes a village. For Dr. J and Coach K, I'm Hootie Hoot. This has been a production of Hootie Hoot Productions. Thank you for joining us in the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. Remember, it takes a village. Much love, everybody. Peace.